Have you ever found yourself in a relationship, whether it's romantic or just a friendship, and felt like something's missing? Like it's all a bit hollow? You're scrolling, you're swiping, you're connecting, but you're not really connecting? Well, today, we're going to unpack that exact feeling. It's a very modern problem, but it has a surprisingly clear diagnosis.
Okay, let's just let that sink in for a second. This quote really cuts right to the heart of the whole thing, doesn't it? What it's really getting at is that when we treat people like they're just options in a catalog, we're not actually getting more freedom. We're losing the one thing that actually cures loneliness, which is the chance to be truly, deeply known by someone else.
And this is the little question that starts it all. It's this quiet, kind of corrosive thought that just eats away at things. And it doesn't usually show up when things are a total disaster. No, it creeps in when things have just become ordinary. It's that nagging feeling in the back of your head that a more perfect, more complete person is just one swipe away.
But here's a wild thought. What if that feeling isn't really about your partner, or even about you? What if it's just a symptom of the culture we're all swimming in? This is the moment it all happens. You know that initial spark, that electric can't get enough of you feeling? Well, it eventually settles into a comfortable, everyday routine. And it's right there, in that quiet, normal space, that our modern brain starts to whisper, hey, is this product effective? Maybe it's time for an upgrade.
And this is so important to get. That impulse to start looking for someone better isn't necessarily some deep flaw in your personality. It's actually a manufactured consumer mindset that has leaked into our most personal, intimate relationships. We've literally been trained to think this way.
And you know what? This way of thinking actually has a name. A sociologist named Zygmunt Bauman, he totally diagnosed it, and he gave us a framework to understand what's really going on. So let's dive into that.
Okay, so the first big idea here is what he calls liquid love. It's this idea that our connections today are super fluid, fragile, like water. And why is that? It's because we've started treating our love lives with the exact same logic we use when we go shopping.
Just look at how mismatched this is. In the marketplace, you upgrade your phone before it even thinks about breaking. But in a relationship, you have to invest in repair. You'd leave a 1-star review and never go back to a restaurant after one bad meal, right? But a real connection is built by working through the hard stuff, not by just discarding someone at the first sign of trouble.
And wow, this quote just nails it. It perfectly captures this cultural shift. Commitment, which for generations was seen as the solid foundation you build a life on, now feels like a cage. It feels like it's trapping us, limiting our options. And in a consumer world, nothing is worse than having your options limited.
So, all of this leads to what's called the collector's mentality. Think about it. We're not really looking for a partner anymore. We're curating a collection. We browse people like items in a never-ending Amazon catalog, always just casually looking for the next, new, better thing.
But all this so-called freedom of infinite choice, it has a really dark side. First, it paralyzes you. I mean, how can you ever really choose someone when a potentially more perfect option is always just a tap away? Second, it makes your investment feel totally optional. And maybe worst of all, you quietly stop seeing the real, complicated, sometimes inconvenient person right in front of you as unique and irreplaceable.
So what's the real human cost of living like this? Well, it creates this deep, very modern kind of emptiness.
We've all been sold this fantasy, right? The myth of the right person who's just going to show up fully formed and everything will be effortless. And with that logic, any friction, any disagreement is seen as a defect in the other person, a clear sign that you picked the wrong product off the shelf.
And this creates a world where we are consumed instead of being known. Being consumed is fun, it's easy, it's pleasurable. You're just showing off the polished, Instagram-ready version of yourself. But being truly known, well, that's uncomfortable. It's profound. It means you have to show the messy parts you usually hide, and you have to be willing to stay when someone else does the same for you.
The result of all this is a life that's filled with the performance of intimacy. You might have hundreds of matches, a calendar full of social dates, but you feel completely and utterly invisible. It's like you've learned to speak the language of connection, but you never actually take the risk of saying what's true for you.
And in the end, this constant freedom to leave, to always be browsing for something better, it just creates a life of drifting. You float from one connection to the next, but you never actually land anywhere. You never arrive.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis. And yeah, it sounds a little bleak, but here's the good news. It's not a life sentence. There is an alternative. There is an antidote to this liquid state we find ourselves in.
And it's called solid love. And here's the key. It's not a feeling you just wait around for. It is a radical decision that you make. It's the simple choice to treat the person in front of you like a whole, complex human being, not like a product with a feature list that you're constantly checking against some fantasy.
So how do we actually build this stuff? It's not some abstract mystery. It really comes down to 3 concrete actions. First, you choose the same person over and over again, not just on the exciting Saturday nights, but on a boring, ordinary Tuesday. Second, you stay in the room for the hard conversations. You don't run. And third, you start to see conflict differently. It's not a sign that you're incompatible, it's the actual work of 2 unique people trying to build one life together.
This forces us to completely redefine what freedom even is. It's not the endless, paralyzing freedom of the catalog. Real freedom, that's the freedom you get when you choose to go deep. The freedom to really see someone, to be seen by them, and to allow that powerful connection to actually change who you are.
So I'll leave you with this question to kind of chew on. Beyond physically walking away, what's one way you've been mentally or emotionally leaving a relationship, even while you're still physically in the room? Is it by scrolling through dating apps? Is it fantasizing about someone else? Because the moment you can actually name that pattern, you're no longer trapped inside of it.